afternoon. I said good afternoon. I know all of you are hungry, and I know definitely that hungry people are angry people. Okay, but this topic that I'm going to spend some time with you is a very interesting topic and a very challenging topic. If you have idea, people are there to fund you, and the only challenge, according to me as an entrepreneur for the last 20 years, is getting the right kind of people. How many of you agree with me? Yes. So the challenge today is that every single time that we look up on another company, we just always wish, had we had the right kind of person. Because when you look at a competitor, you find some amazing guy working in the other company, and you wish if this guy could be an employee in our team. Yes or no? Yeah. So the question here is, this is a challenge for everybody in every area. And recently, I was actually talking to one of the startup guys in Bangalore, and he was telling, he was in fact paying a salary of close to about 3.5 lakhs per month. And he says, Anna, every Monday I have a big challenge. I asked him, what are the challenge? So only when I reach office, I am sure that this particular guy is actually working in my company. So he's not very sure, even paying so much of salary. So the point that I want to actually take you through, in order to sustain and scale up your business, you need to have the right kind of people. And people are the only people who really can take you to the next level. Innovation in talent building. It's a very big subject. Maybe we need workshop for us together to really discuss and work on it. In my humble opinion, seeing some of the entrepreneurs, they have their own ways of doing some of the things in terms of how do they retain people. So looking at the innovation, everything revolves around how do you get the best out of this guy? How do you optimize your human potential is what innovation building will take you through. If you really look at the employee life cycle, you need to attract the right kind of talent, you need to recruit them, you need to go through the right kind of induction and orientation program, and you need to develop and train them to go to the next level. You promote them, you give them challenging assignment, you need to motivate them, and then they go to the next level, and then they probably become a business unit head, and eventually they leave if they wanted to. So that's the kind of employee life cycle is all about we're talking about. But this employee life cycle, if you really wanted to build in your company, you need to have a culture which is the right kind of developmental culture in the company, right from the day that they come into the company, and how do they really go through in terms of developing as an individual and also developing the organization that they work for. Now, I wanted to actually share some of those examples in the hardcore entrepreneurial scenario a little later, but this is the thought that I want to actually leave you with. What is the kind of a roadmap that we wanted to have for the right kind of talent development is what I'm going to spend time with you. You have people in your company, and there was a recent study done, and they figured out only 3% of the people in the entrepreneurial company knows exactly what the MD's mind has in terms of developing the company, growing the company. They just merely come into the work, and then they go back. So that should not be the case. You need to really align your team in terms of what kind of business that you wanted to build in over a period of next 5, 10, 25 years down the line. So in order to do this kind of an alignment, the kind of workforce that you are working with, you talk to them as an employee in terms of Generation Y, Generation Z, or millennials, the kind of focus that you wanted to bring these people back to the work, it's very challenging. Because the kind of employees that you will be having in your company, they're all very young, new generation kind of people, or millennial kind of people. The only thing that you need to look at from this guy is you might see a big headphone on the head, keep looking at the laptop. The whole world revolves around them on laptop. I was there in Dubai a couple of days back, and I was actually talking to a company. This is an entrepreneurial-driven company. He's a huge shareholder in a lot of jewelry chain and things of that sort, but he is so concerned about his son. His son is 12-year-old, and he looks at the world through the laptop. You know, he looks at the laptop and he talks about various universities and things like that, and there's a headphone on top of him. So he doesn't really want to listen to anybody. So he listens to music and looks at the screen and decide what he needs to do. So that's the kind of generation that we're going to look at it. So you need to align your thought process with the skills of that particular person. What kind of ambition these guys got. In every single guy that you really recruit today, they all wanted to make big money, and they want to make big money in a very short time. So their skills, their ambitions, their dreams, and the kind of values that they have for themselves and for the people around them is something which we need to really look at it. What kind of a culture that you need to fit in? You know, you need to fit in the right kind of culture. One of the very senior officials spoke to me. in their bank, they always keep people outside the reception area for the candidates to come in before the interview actually happens. So they look at, they make them sit through for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes even it'd be 1.5 to 2 hours time. So they look at this from the backside on a CCTV camera to figure out how this guy is actually there inside. Is he smiling? Is he restless? Is he trying to get, the attention of here and there? So at that kind of scenario, they really look at the guy who's really cool, happy, fun-loving kind of a person. They look at and they pick. So they made the decision, almost 30% is the decision, whether to have these kind of employees or not. So you need to figure out what kind of culture it is. I'm sure you must have heard about the famous quote which says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. You can also try and do a test drive. How many of you know this company called Zappos? Okay, so they do an amazing thing. They, after the induction, once you're recruited, they go through a training for about 2 months, and then finally they figure out few people, and there's an option which is given before they actually take on to the company. The option is very simple. They pay you about $5,000 to $6,000 to $7,000 each one of them. And if they decided that they cannot sustain these kind of quality standards in terms of customer service, they have an option to let go, or they have an option of going out of the company, taking this money. So they really want only people who are really concerned about the company's culture and the growth. So you can try and do this also. And a lot of companies do this. We have done it in our own company. We tried this about 3 months to 4 months for one particular guy. We've given them a couple of assignments, and they did extremely well. An MBA with an IT background, having a fat salary. We told them, you need to get into an entrepreneurial company. The entrepreneur thinks differently. He's a different breed altogether. So you need to really take up some real challenging assignment, getting up early in the morning, go to a marketplace, do something. So we really tested out, and it really worked well. After 6 months, we absorbed them on our company. So it works in any other company as well. You could try this. What kind of onboarding program that you have? If you truly have somebody coming into your company, you need to ensure that the induction happens properly. A lot of corporate companies have this, but entrepreneur-driven company, no. What we generally do, as soon as a guy comes into the company, we immediately put somebody under him. So what actually happens is that this guy follows what the other guys actually tell him. So there is my way of doing, your way of doing, the right way of doing. But is he doing the right way of doing? We don't know. Because he will probably follow the other guy, and that probably will fail sometime later. So create the right kind of culture from the very beginning as soon as the guy comes into the company. Performance management is something is very, very interesting thing, but a lot of corporate companies do this, but as far as entrepreneur-driven company, we don't do that. So we don't set the expectations right from the beginning. So as soon as this guy comes in, this is what we are trying to look at it. These are the kind of milestones that we have over a period of a month or year or a quarter. So based on that, you kind of benchmark in terms of what kind of role that this guy can go and do it. So in terms of our rewarding strategies, there's a company in Abu Dhabi. It's a very small company. They have about 60 to 70 juice shops all across. It's a hardcore entrepreneur, not much of education. So I was actually talking to him, how did he expand so many juice shops everywhere across the United Arab Emirates? So he was talking about something very interesting. As soon as a guy comes into the company, pretty much from their own villages, first 3 to 4 months, he looks at it, how this guy's attitude is, into energy, smile, and things of that sort. After that is done, immediately this guy is given an in charge of one particular section. And again, 3 to 4 months time, they evaluate how the customers are walking in, is their business growing in that particular section. And later on, they put him as a supervisor for the entire shop. And in about a year and a half or 2 years' time, this guy has got certain milestone. And if that works well, immediately this guy is actually pick him up, put him in another brand new store, and he becomes a 30% partner in the business. So that's an amazing way to do like that. So try and create something like this as an idea. So another interesting company from Coimbatore, I'm basically from Coimbatore, there's an entrepreneur which actually sells tiles and sanitary products and things like that. So this gentleman, what he has is he brings people from his village, and there is a very beautiful innovative system, a reward system. The system is very simple. If you work with us for 5 years, looking at all those criteria that we sit for, and if you perform, if you excel, I will give you a 5.5 cent a ground for you to probably build a house. And if he works again for another 5 years, he builds a house and gives. So what is an ultimate job of a guy who actually works in? He wants to probably buy a land and build a house. And that is taken care of by this company. So that's another interesting idea that you try and look at it. The last thing that I want to actually talk about, I really got really excited about this company called McDonald's. And I'm sure most of you would have been to McDonald's, and every single time when you go into a McDonald's counter, you never find any difference in terms of the services that they ask you pretty much the same kind of question, yes or no? Yeah? But the very interesting fact is, McDonald's has got an attrition rate in the counter staff sales of close to about 200%. That means every 6 months, the entire sales staff in the counter at the McDonald's go out and a new guy come in. So how do they manage this? In McDonald's, they have a system called University of Burgerology. What's it called as? University of Burgerology. They go through anybody who comes into the company, they go through a training, which is an induction program for about 6 to 8 weeks. After that, these guys put into it. Now the question is, why do they leave? Because most of them are part-timers. They work in the morning, they come back in the evening, they work for some time. Once the graduation gets done, they move out of it. So the question is, okay, you have pretty much good kind of a system happening in your company, but some of us are very comfortable in entrepreneurship is that when you have somebody really doing good, you are getting into a comfort zone, so you don't want to disturb him. But that guy's attitude is not all that good, but he's been performing very good. He's not ready to change. He's not ready to adapt some of the technological things happening. So what do? We tend to just ignore and then pull on. But that's a very dangerous thing. So in case if you have somebody who's really doing good in your company, you have to be very, very cautious. Try and figure out who is going to replace this gentleman right now. So if that is not going to happen, it's going to be very, very difficult. So with having said that, try and work out a plan B where you can keep on building strong talent pools. Another entrepreneur from my friend in Qatar has got a chain of pharmacy store. What he does is he just signs in the company. All the other things is systemized in the company. And his job of 90% is go around, meet people, socialize, and figure out who could be the right guy fit into our company. That's what is the small thing that I was talking about in terms of what we do. Thank you very much.